Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 26 of the Hilltop Sports Report podcast. As you may have noticed, we've made a few upgrades since the last episode. We now have a video component of the podcast. We welcome those of you tuning in on YouTube. The Cornell Rams social media platforms probably led you to the YouTube channel. We thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jumpin' Jack Carlson, your host, alongside the head man of the Cornell Athletics Department, Jeff Meeker. He also serves as the head volleyball coach here on the Hilltop. We thank you for tuning into this episode, and we thank Coach Meeker for his time. Without further ado, let's hit the music and start the show.
Let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!
As I mentioned in the intro, and as you saw, Coach Jeff Meeker is a very special guest on this episode of the podcast. First of all, Coach Meeker, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Of course, Jack. Happy to be here.
So it's been a fantastic year of Cornell athletics, beginning at the early stages of August in the training, and then going into the athletic events, starting at the end of August. Of course, then we were dealing with all sorts of heat. A lot of things have transpired since then. We've hosted a volleyball regional here on the campus of Cornell College, and the spring season has been so much fun. So from a 30,000-foot view, Coach Meeker, looking from your position of AD, what has this 2023-2024 season been like for you?
It's fun to go back and think about the heat that we were enduring in August, Jack. I hadn't thought about that recently. But, yeah, I think so much has transpired over the last 3 seasons, if you will, fall, winter, spring, and in the different sports that we have. We've seen a lot of success. We've faced some challenges for sure. Above all of it, we've worked hard to build the type of culture that we're looking to build here in athletics, and that's to see our student athletes working together within teams, across teams, to foster that same family feel within our athletics department here, and then really just trying to inspire our student athletes to be more and do more than they think they're capable of, all the while letting them know that we care about them and we love them, and we're really trying to support an amazing experience when they're here at Cornell.
And this entire year has been so much fun. I made mention of this in that first question to you, and talking about the spring season, which has been so fun. We're in a position where all 6 teams have the potential to qualify for their conference tournaments. Obviously, so much hard work has been put in from the coaching staffs and the student athletes. It's really been fun to watch. So I guess from your position, what have you seen out of the spring sports? Obviously, all sorts of lessons have been learned throughout the process, but they're also experiencing, success on the field of competition as well.
Yeah, it's really neat to see our student athletes rewarded with opportunities to compete in the postseason. So today, the men's and women's lacrosse teams are in Lake Forest, and as we speak, getting ready to start that men's game. So fun to see how that turns out. Then the women ended up with the 3 seed in the tournament and have a great chance to play a Lake Forest team that they competed well against earlier this spring, and hopefully the Rams come out with a victory. So exciting for those teams. Baseball, softball, of course, both in good positions with a solid weekend to qualify for the tournament. Baseball is hot right now. We've won 8 games in a row, 7 conference games in a row, outscored our opponents by quite a large margin, 80-19, something like that. So you want to be playing your best ball, your best doing your best competition when it matters the most, and so really looking forward to the teams that do that. I also got to spend the whole weekend last weekend up at the Midwest Conference men's tennis tournament, so got to see our guys compete against our other conference schools, and had some great matches, some big wins for the team. The men's tennis team, of course, has set a school record for wins. Our women's lacrosse team set a school record for wins this year. So it's fun to have those milestones and those accomplishments as we do this.
Absolutely. And so speaking of those 2 lacrosse programs, men's and women's lacrosse, it was announced recently that the Rams would be moving over to the NACC next year, and that will be great for the competition for both programs. And so I wonder, as you're looking at that move for the programs, what excites you about the opportunity for men's and women's lacrosse in the NACC?
Yeah, I think both programs are set up well for success. We're making progress on both sides, and the NAC is a conference that has some depth just in terms of membership. So we'll be one of 13 teams on the men's side, one of 11 teams on the women's side. So certainly there's that element of stability. As lacrosse continues to build in the Midwest, it's been, I would say, kind of an up and down process for that. There's still not a lot of high school programs or club programs around. So to join a conference that has that stability and to join a group of schools that is like-minded with us in terms of supporting the student-athlete experience, we think this will be a really good home. And geographically, it's a great fit for us too.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, lacrosse is a fast-growing sport, so it's important to nurture that here at Cornell, and this move to the new conference will be fantastic, and excited to see what the two programs can do. Both have experienced success qualifying for the postseason tournaments in recent memory. Obviously, as you mentioned, the women's lacrosse team setting a program record for wins in back-to-back seasons, which was really fun to watch here on the Hilltop. So shifting over now into the winter sports, they feel like so long ago, and that's not even talking about the fall sports now. So talking about the winter sports, had some fun memories here inside the SAW and elsewhere with the different teams that were competing. So what did you see out of the winter sports here in 2023, 2024?
Yeah, I think lots of great things. On the indoor track side of it, we continue to see school record after school record going down. Some more this spring in the outdoor season. So hosted a track meet indoors in the arena, which was really great. So to see that success and those individual accomplishments and team accomplishments with some of those relay records has been fun. Our basketball programs both competed so hard this year. We fell just short of conference tournament, but they battled. And in sports, sometimes the randomness of a shot going in or not, or a bad break, or can change outcomes. And I felt like for both of our teams, we were really close and put ourselves in good position, but just fell a little bit short of those tournaments. And then men's wrestling took a nice step forward as a program this year with 2 national qualifiers and All-American. We competed really well at the regional tournament, which is one of the toughest in the country. That was fun to see the guys compete at that level.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, Gabriel Smith, an All-American here as a sophomore, what an accomplishment for him. And as you mentioned, the entire team was battling all season long. And now shifting over to one of those winter sports, women's wrestling, had an interim coach, Boston Jacobs, for the season. And after the season was over, Boston Jacobs received the permanent head coach position. So talk about removing the interim tag for him and what you saw out of him in his first year, really challenging for the program in their first varsity season. Thought all the student athletes who were on the team handled it with grace, and they went about it the right way. So talk about what you saw out of the women's wrestling program and Boston Jacobs.
Yeah, we were super excited for our inaugural season. We were challenged with numbers, and that posed some struggles with scheduling and the competitive part of it, but tons of growth from our student athletes. What I see in Coach Jacobs is a passion for teaching, a passion for mentoring. He loves Cornell. Even though he graduated from Co, he bleeds purple.
He's come to the right side now.
He's in the right place, and he just worked relentlessly this year to provide a great experience for our current student athletes. And then, of course, in terms of building a program, a key is to build those numbers. And he's had an outstanding recruiting season, and we're really excited about the roster next year and the growth of the program. So super proud of the steps that we've taken along those lines.
Absolutely. And so shifting now from winter sports back to the fall season, which, as we've talked about, feels so long ago now. There were so many fun memories that were made during that time. And talking first about the new head coach of the women's soccer program, Sarah Campbell. She's no stranger to the Hilltop. She's been here around a year,
Sure.
but she's now inheriting the reins of the women's soccer program and really establishing her culture. We had Coach Campbell on the last episode of the podcast, and she really detailed what she has expectation-wise for the program. Really a new life into that women's soccer program. She has so much energy, and she's played the game recently.
Sure.
So talk about what were the characteristics of Coach Campbell that stood out to you
Sure.
in the hiring process, and also what you're expecting that program to look like going forward.
Yeah, we're so excited about Coach Campbell. As you mentioned, she has a ton of energy. She's an incredibly hard worker. She's a Division III All-American, went to a small college, a graduate of Wartburg. And so she knows what D3 athletics is about. She knows about the balance. She was an outstanding student and athlete at Wartburg. She knows about that balance that's so important to us here at Cornell. She can connect with the young women on the team. She's proven that she's going to be a great recruiter with a very strong recruiting class coming in already. Yeah, I just feel like she's going to be a great mentor for our young women and showing them the hard work and dedication that it really takes to take that next step as a program. And we expect that they'll be competitive this fall and hopefully challenging for a conference championship real soon.
That's fantastic. It's really exciting to see what she can do with the program. And as we saw in the rest of the fall athletic teams, really taking a step forward. And when you think about football, making a market improvement in 2023, excited to see what Coach Pfeiffer and the Rams can do in 2024. Obviously, your volleyball program hosting the regional. So the other sports in the fall area of the 2023-2024 season, what did you see out of those teams?
Well, as you mentioned, that was a long time ago. It's hard thinking back and thinking about all that we accomplished. But yeah, our cross-country programs are working hard. We're building numbers. We've got some high-end talent, of course, on the men's side, and some great depth and teamwork on the women's side, and hope to see them continue to ascend up that conference ladder. Our women's tennis team, the same thing. We've got some great talent on that team, and we want to continue to work to add depth and competitiveness overall to compete at the top of the conference. Men's soccer is coming off a year where they qualified for the conference tournament and brings back a lot of talent, and so looking forward to the next season for them. Of course, football having a 6-win season was a great step forward. We're building our roster size. We'll likely have one of the largest football teams in school history this coming fall, and hopefully, again, be able to take that next step. And, that's what athletics is about. It's about growth. It's about progress. You're never really staying the same as an athlete or as a team. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. My goal is to continue to see programs being persistent with developing from a program perspective and ultimately becoming competitive nationally, and that's really what we're aspiring to do here.
Absolutely, and that's interesting that you said either getting better or you're getting worse, you never stay the same. That was a quote from Don Nealon, head football coach at West Virginia University back in the day, and that's really a great philosophy to have. So now going into your head coaching hat, we'll put that on for a little bit. It was a fun season for Cornell in 2023 with the volleyball team. Obviously, so many fun times throughout. The upset victory over Northwestern in this very gym. The Rams defeated Northwestern, who's number 5 in the nation at the time, and then the rematch came later on in the season. But talk about the season at large and then going into that regional. Once you found out the Rams had a chance to host, and then they were indeed hosting, talk about balancing the athletic director duties along with trying to get your team ready to win 3 games and keep moving in the tournament.
Yeah. First of all, what a exciting moment that was for our program, for our school, for the women on our team. That was certainly a highlight. Just learning that we had the opportunity to host. Of course, I knew already, hadn't shared that with them. They got to find out during the selection show, and first time we've ever been able to do that. And so to make it to the postseason is a big deal, and then to get to have that opportunity at home is an even bigger deal. In terms of balancing the host responsibilities and the coach responsibilities, we have an amazing staff here that stepped up and just did what needed to be done, led by Kurt Lamb, Kurt is a doer. He gets things done. He's never shies away from hard work, and he really took the lead on not only running the tournament, but also putting in the application and getting all the information we needed to get done to host. And so we just found out at 8 o'clock Monday morning that week, and then the selection show, I believe, was around 11. So it was fast and furious. Of course, Carrie Call and Michelle Eichhorn played important roles in that too. And then we had a bunch of coaches step up as hosts for the different schools, and the entire department really said, how can we help? How can we make that special?
Absolutely. And so now talk about your perspective as a head coach. Obviously, the dream is to host a regional, and finally seeing that come to fruition. Talk about on that day when you woke up, first thing in your head was probably like, wow, we're hosting a regional today, or perhaps knowing you some wise quote.
Yeah.
But talking about that specific day, 4 matches went on in the SOT. Obviously, the Rams had the final quarterfinal of the day against Milliken. That was just an electric atmosphere, and one that is unforgettable for the student athletes, the coaches, and everybody there that night. So bring us back into that Thursday, the quarterfinal day, for you as head coach.
I don't even know how to answer that question, Jack. Yeah, I think days like that, you're so wrapped up in the preparation piece that often as a coach, you don't have time to reflect on the significance of what's happening. I find that I experience that a lot with big moments in matches. I don't remember what happened because of the significance of that event. Like, how the heck did we score that last point to win it? I have to go back and watch the video to find out. But, yeah, it was just an honor, I think. A lot of gratitude, appreciation for the community that we have here at Cornell, not only the staff, but the students, the campus community, the people from Mount Vernon that came out to watch that match. As you remember, it was block break.
It sure was,
which
yes.
is unfortunate in some ways, because certainly it might have been the start of fall break.
It was start of Thanksgiving
so,
break.
So yeah,
yes.
A lot of students had gone home, so that pool of potential fans was reduced, but we still had 600 or 700 people here in the gym that night. And can you imagine if it wasn't fall break?
Yeah,
it would have been absolutely full. But yeah, it was a great atmosphere. Our team played well. We came out ready to go. I think they were excited and well prepared. But we always talk about making sure we're balancing fun and focus, and we can't ever take it too far either way. If we put too much emphasis on that match and treat it too much differently than another match from the year, then it's hard to perform. Or if you go into a match not quite focused enough and maybe having a little too much fun, it doesn't work either. So we spend a lot of time on making sure we get that balance right.
Absolutely, yeah. It looked like perhaps the Rams in the first 4 points of the first set, if I remember correctly, maybe a little bit shaky, and then after that, flipped the switch, and the Rams were off to the victory. It was such a fun weekend. Obviously, the Rams came up short against Northwestern, but what a fantastic match. That was a 5-setter,
yeah.
And it was tied 8-8 in set number 5. So speaking about going against Northwestern, who ended up going really far in the tournament, and just basically all of the volleyball that you were able to see that weekend, put it into perspective for folks. What was it like?
Yeah, so we were actually up 10-8, Jack.
Okay, 10-8, yes. And then it got tied 10-10, yes.
And then we made an error. There was a really questionable line call where the line judge called it out, but then changed his mind and called it in. That was a tough one for us to swallow.
I remember that one quite well.
But yeah, we just didn't quite get it done down the stretch, and it's disappointing when that happens, but also you tip your hat to a really good team that did some amazing things to secure that victory. Northwestern's really good, as we know. They had another amazing comeback win. They were down 2-0 to Whitewater, and Whitewater, I think, had 4 or 5 match points in that match in the final, and Northwestern somehow found a way to win it. I attribute really a lot of their success to one player on their team that doesn't always get the credit maybe that she deserves, or a position that doesn't always get the credit, and that was the libero. She's the reason they beat us.
Marilyn Schreier.
I think she had 38 digs in that match, so just preventing us from getting kills, and that's what that position does, keeping balls alive. And she dug some balls that I had no idea how she got to them. But those matches are hard to swallow. You mentioned our dream was to host a regional, and our dream wasn't to host a regional; it's to win a regional. Mm-hmm. We've been working hard to do that for quite a few years, and we fell just a little bit short. And again, that's sports. Like, the ball bounces in weird ways sometimes, and random things happen. And our goal is for next year is to make enough progress where we put ourselves in a better position to come out on the right end of some of those bounces.
That's exactly leading into my next question perfectly. Talking about the 2024 season, so much talent returns, including the Midwest Conference Player of the Year in 2023, Isla Perez-Johnson. She returns for her 5th year. Obviously, the Rams had Grace Barty as a 5th year this past year, so they've experienced the benefits of a 5th year.
Sure.
With IPJ leading the way, and then so many talented players around her in that nucleus, along with a very strong recruiting class.
Yep.
What are you expecting the Rams to do in 2024? You've scheduled a very challenging schedule, so what are you envisioning?
Well, it's going to be hard, but we talk about that a lot. That was one of the themes for this past season, was we can do hard things. And we had a lot of challenges throughout the 2023 season. We had a stretch where we lost 5 out of 6 matches, and we're kind of struggling to find our mojo, and we just persisted and continued to take steps forward. But we expect the 2024 season to be really, really tough. It may be our toughest non-conference schedule ever. I would expect that it's a top 5 in the nation strength of schedule coming out of September. But we're going to be good. And we've got, as you mentioned, we've got a lot of talent coming back. We've got a great team in terms of just the quality of the women we have on our team. They're here for the right reasons. They're great teammates. They care about each other. They're hard workers. You mentioned we have a talented recruiting class coming in that we're very excited about, and we think the same of them. We think they're quality people first and talented players second. So we're excited, and we're not shying away from expectations, and we've talked with our team about that pressure is good, and it just means things are expected of us. So we can't wait. It's 107 days maybe until report date, I think, is about the right number of days. We had a great spring. We made a significant step forward, we feel like, with the spring practices that we had, and played really well on our spring date back in April. So we're looking forward to 2024.
It'll be awesome. So one last question for you. As we head into the summer months, the work of an athletics director never stops. So what are the next couple of months over the summer looking like for you as you approach August, when you said report date is, and then you have practices getting ready for the 2024 season?
Great question. Well, first we're trying to focus on the next 10 days or so as this school year wraps up. I've been saying it'll be a fast and furious finish with the conference tournaments that you spoke of. Class ends a week from today. It's the last day of classes. Graduation will be a big milestone. We've got the Rammy Awards coming up on Monday, which I understand you're hosting.
I have heard one thing or two about that. I'm really looking forward to it.
We'll work together on that. Honestly, a lot of the time for our coaches is focusing on recruiting right now. May 1 is really decision day for recruits, so big day today. And our department is really doing a great job with recruiting. Many of our programs have reached their recruiting goals already, and we're continuing to work hard to bring in future Rams, student athletes who are going to fit what we're about here at Cornell, contribute to our success on and off the court, and continue to build the culture that we're creating. And then kind of after school year, as recruiting maybe settles down just a little bit, the summer's a great time for kind of bigger picture thinking, bigger projects, more of the planning pieces to help us continue, we hope, to take steps forward as a program.
That's fantastic, and really looking forward to this wrap-up of the 2023-2024 athletics campaign. And then, as you mentioned, going into the summer, it's going to be a fantastic year next year for the Rams. Really excited to see what each of the sports can do. So many intriguing storylines from the fall sports all the way through winter into the spring.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to it, and want to thank you so much for the time today here on this episode of the podcast.
I need to say a couple more things, Jack.
Okay, go right ahead.
First, just thanks to all the students like you who support what we're doing here. And you've been a great example of that with all the work that you do behind the scenes and here now in front of the camera, in front of the microphone, what value you add to the student-athlete experience and to our program. So thanks to you personally. And we have lots of others who maybe do things in slightly less public ways. Maybe they're taking stats at games, or the many SMAs that we have working downstairs to keep our athletes on the field. We've got student workers at the front desk in the SAW, and student managers, and there's so many different people that go into helping us do what we do, provide the experiences that we do here. That just wanted to take a moment to express our gratitude to you and to all the other students who help us do what we do.
Well, I really appreciate it, and as you said, it's really a team effort around here. Couldn't do it without you in charge, and everybody else here as we record inside the SAW, everybody who works here, as you say, both publicly and also behind the scenes. It's a true collaborative effort to make sure that Rams athletics is where it is, and especially with the facilities where they are right now with the small athletic and wellness center. It's just been fantastic over the last couple of years to be a part of this. Fantastic.
Let's do this.
All right, so thank you so much to Coach Jeff Meeker for his time on this episode of the podcast. A historic episode, to be sure. We thank you all so much for tuning in all year long, and really looking forward to bringing this video component of the podcast with you next year in 2024-2025. One thing that we've done this year as Rams, we've taken steps forward and climbing up that staircase next season on the Hilltop. We thank you so much for tuning in all year long. We'll see you next year. My name is Jumpin' Jack Carlson, speaking on behalf of the Cornell College Rams, saying, I'll see you next time. Ram 'em.
Let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!